Hey guys,
Hi.
what's up? Back in with another reaction here. This time I have Lauren. I haven't had her on the channel in quite a bit of a long time, so she's back here. And I know I usually react to MrBallen videos by myself, but um, I decided why not react to Lauren with it. It's pretty fun. We both like MrBallen a lot. We think I think he's a great storyteller.
Yeah,
He's a
I
great,
watch him all the time.
yeah. So he's great. So why not see how this duo reaction works because, we haven't done this in a while, so
True.
especially. But it's gonna be a long one, 36 minutes long, and this one's actually called, I hadn't even read the title. So it's Russia's most feared criminal, and this is mature audiences only. I mean, we all know whenever MrBallen's video says mature audiences only,
It's serious
it's
business.
yeah, it's pretty. There's something that's really graphic or something.
I don't know. I don't think you can handle this.
I mean, I can. I handle his Scream video, his or his that one, that really long one.
Yeah, no, I don't think you can handle this.
Sure, but like I think for some reason I just feel like he posted this video, but this is a thing because of the whole Russia. Again, I don't know much about it. I know you guys in the comments probably have so much to say about it, but it's just about this war thing with.
And some of you may even have family there. I know I have a teacher who actually has family in like Russia, and yeah, she's been like calling them and like trying to stay in contact with them right now. It's a hard time.
Yeah, so I don't know much about it. Maybe I'll even know more. So it's like, we'll see what Russia's most feared criminal is. I mean, I don't know how bad it can get, but MrBallen's videos can be pretty graphic, if you know what I mean. All right, well, do you want me to cover myself up or? It's okay. All right, well, because when we're using a different software, so that's why.
Yeah, we're talking about where to put the video, just
Yeah.
because we're deciding if we should be able to see ourselves during this reaction, or if we should just be able to see the video.
Yeah, I'll make it a little bigger for y'all here so you can see it. Okay, there we go.
Today's story.
Sorry, I didn't mean to start. I didn't mean to interrupt Mr. Ballen. Okay, so
I wonder how many flannel shirts this guy owns.
That's probably all he wears.
At least
to be honest, no offense,
Roland.
Yeah, because I mean, I know people's things are sometimes flannels, and I get that, but
it's like, how many flannel shirts do you want? Yes.
Yeah. Yes, that's funny.
Yes.
Okay. Well, here we go, and we will try to comment, or we won't try to comment, but if we have something to say, I will pause it because I'm able to, and then go from there. But yeah. Other than that, I think we're good. Let's just get on in. All right.
Today's story sounds exactly like an urban legend. It sounds too exaggerated, too grotesque, too terrifying to be real. But it is. This is the true story of the Bitsevsky Park maniac. But before we get into today's story, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place because that's all we do, and we upload once or twice every week. So if that's of interest to you, please offer to help build the Like Button's new dresser they just got from IKEA, and as soon as you open it up, immediately find all the screws, strip them all, and then leave. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads.
Sorry to pause. And where does he get like all this idea for the like button stuff? Do people like comment them and then he takes their ideas?
Probably. That's where I'm getting at because it's like it's very random. So either he gets inspiration from somebody or people, or he just I don't know, makes it up somehow. I don't know.
I love it though. I find it super hilarious.
Yeah, very.
One day the like button's gonna murder him.
All right, let's get into today's story.
And then someone else will be telling the story about him being
Moscow, Russia, which is one of the world's richest cities, is home to more billionaires than any other European city. But if you travel just 10 miles south of Moscow's richest neighborhood, the Golden Mile, you will reach one of Russia's poorest neighborhoods, the southern Moscow suburbs. Nicknamed Zhopamira, which means the soul of the world, these suburbs used to be a thriving neighborhood with tens of thousands of working-class Russians and their families calling it their home. But after the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991, the money and the jobs in this area dried up completely, and even though the residents wanted to relocate and live somewhere with more opportunity, they couldn't. They didn't have the resources to leave, and so they were trapped. And since 1991, really nothing has changed in these suburbs. Today, there are still tens of thousands of now very poor Russian families that still live there, living in these totally overcrowded Soviet apartment buildings that are these big, square, identical looking things that are literally falling apart. And most of the people who live in these suburbs either are unemployed or they work some dead-end job that barely pays them any money. The police in the suburbs are completely underfunded and, for the most part, are corrupt. And so crime over the years has really taken a dramatic uptick. Also, drug and alcohol abuse are completely running rampant in this part of the world. But despite their notoriously rough living situation in the southern Moscow suburbs, these residents do have one claim to fame, and that is the Bitsevsky Park. Bitsevsky Park is comprised primarily of a massive, lush green forest that is full of wildlife and beautiful streams and clearings, and it sits right on the southern edge of the southern Moscow suburbs. In total, the park covers a whopping 2,700 acres and stretches 4 miles from top to bottom, which makes it 3 times bigger than New York City's famous Central Park. Bitsevsky Park had always been a popular tourist destination for people living around Moscow, but after the fall of the Soviet Union, the park's popularity skyrocketed, specifically amongst people that lived in the southern Moscow suburbs. As their lives continued to become more bleak in the 1990s, they compensated by going to the park as much as they possibly could. They would take long walks in the woods, they would play chess with their friends along the peripheries on the park benches and tables, or they'd go cross-country skiing in the winter. Basically, year-round, this park became their escape from their miserable everyday lives. But that would not last. Starting in the early 2000s, something totally unexplainable and terrifying began happening in the park, specifically in the heavily forested area in the park. And eventually, this unusual event that was taking place, got so completely out of hand that the residents of the southern Moscow suburbs stopped going in the park. They were literally too scared to go inside. The strange phenomenon began in 2001. From May to July that year.
At least I can skip.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it right now. I think I found the single biggest productivity hack of 2020. It's this Google Chrome extension called...
Cool.
10 people went missing after having been spotted either in or right around the outside of the heavily forested area inside of Bitsevsky Park. All of them were alone when they were last spotted, and all of them were men. Now, there was some precedent for people suddenly going missing in this part of Russia. Every now and again, people would try to flee these suburbs to try to make a better life for themselves somewhere else, but time and time again, they would just come back a couple of days or weeks later because it hadn't worked out. But when these 10 men did not come back in a couple of days or weeks, their families went to police and reported them missing. But unsurprisingly, the police did not launch an investigation. Instead, they accused the 10 missing men of just being drunk bums who probably wandered off somewhere, and whatever trouble they were in, it was their fault. Now, the families and the locals did not buy this explanation, but there really wasn't a better explanation. These men really had just kind of vanished. No one had any idea where they went. And so given the kind of general grim outlook on life that lots of people held in this area, people just kind of accepted that whatever happened to these 10 men happened, and there's nothing any of us can do about it. And they moved on. But in October of that year, so 2 months after the 10th man had gone missing in the park, another man went missing in the park. And then by the end of the year, 4 more men had vanished inside of the park. And all of them vanished under the same circumstances. Last spotted alone in or around the heavily forested area in the park. The families of these 5 men would go to police. They would report their family members missing. But again, the police did not launch any investigation and blamed the missing people for being responsible for whatever happened to them. And then after that, the families kind of mourned the loss of these 5 men, not really sure what to make of it. And locals kind of gossiped about it for a little while and started to speculate about what might have happened to them and kind of lumped them in with the 10 other men that had gone missing. But after a while, when no new news came out about what happened to them, everyone just kind of moved on again. And unbelievably, this pattern would repeat itself for nearly 4 years.
Wow.
From 2002 to late
And the cops
2005,
still did nothing?
25
So late.
more people would go missing
Seriously?
inside of Bitsevsky Park.
Unfortunately, that's the
24
thing.
of them would be men, one of them would be a woman, although it wasn't clear if she was actually in the same category as the other 24 men, but regardless, that put the total number of mysterious disappearances inside of this forested area in the park up to 40. But still, the police shrugged it off,
Oh my
and
God,
eventually,
they are
so too did the
Shrugged
local
it
population.
off for-
Everyone just kind of
Why?
moved on,
Right.
like this phenomenon wasn't happening, that
Maybe
people
'cause
were
there's no
not
proof.
going missing
just
in
vanished,
droves inside of this forest. But everything would change with missing person number 41. Because unlike the previous 40, this missing person would be found again. 63-year-old Nikolai Zakharchenko was a retired police officer who lived in a tiny apartment in the southern Moscow suburbs with his family. He was a classic Russian tough guy who chain smoked cigarettes and drank lots of vodka. And even though he was well aware of the missing person phenomenon inside of this park, that wasn't about to stop him from doing the thing he loved, which was going on walks
Sounds like you.
inside of this park. He figured
I mean,
whatever was out
You
there,
do a lot
he could
to
handle it. So
Wouldn't this
one
be to
evening
escape
in
from
November
life?
of
It's all hard to
2005,
do anything else.
Nikolai
Yeah.
told his sister that he was going to go out for a walk in the park.
But yes, I
that
do
night, he didn't come back, and so his family was very worried about him, but they decided they would wait until the next morning to see if maybe he showed up. But the following morning, when Nikolai did not show up, his family went to the police. But per usual, the police did nothing. A few days later, a local was walking fairly deep inside of the forest inside of Bitsevsky Park when they noticed well off the trail, off to the left side, there was something unusual kind of tucked in the underbrush. Now, this local was all alone. They had kind of a bad feeling about whatever this was, and so they called the police and they reported seeing something strange. And surprisingly, the police did actually come out and they went over to investigate, and they found this unusual thing was Nikolai Zakharchenko. He was lying face down, he was fully clothed, and he only had one injury, but it obviously had been fatal. He had a massive hole on the back of his head. This was not from a
gosh.
gunshot.
Jeez.
This was from massive blunt force trauma.
Well,
He
yeah,
had been
apparently.
struck so hard that literally the back half of his skull was blown clear off.
Oh my
The police
God.
searched the area in hopes they might find the murder weapon or some other
Pretty
clue
bad.
as
I
to
don't
what
know if
happened to
he
him,
survived,
but
though,
there was
apparently,
nothing.
so.
And so all the police
He
could
did?
deduce was that Nikolai had obviously been attacked either
Well,
by a person.
Wait,
It
sorry,
said his
pause.
body was found.
Yeah, I know, but
If he had a blow to the head like that, he wouldn't have survived. Like if there was like a hole
Oh,
in his
okay,
head,
okay.
his whole skull fell off.
Sorry, I think maybe I misheard MrBallen. I think he said like earlier he mentioned, everything would change after person 141, and they said they found him. So I thought, sorry, I
so
thought that
you
he meant he
assumed he was
survived.
still
Okay,
alive.
well, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, no, there's no way
Sorry.
if his
Yeah.
whole skull like,
I guess
fell
so.
off.
Yeah, for some reason, unless he just miraculously survived. I don't know how, but no, yeah, that's just true. Okay,
but
that makes
no,
sense.
but like with the park thing that you were saying, like I understand why. Like I mean, yeah, it's dumb. Like if you know that people are going missing and the cops are doing nothing and no one's taking it seriously, that to still go out in the park. But at the same time, like if the rest of their life was kind of bleak and they didn't have anything else to look forward to, and that was the only escape, I could see why people would be desperate and they'd be like, you know what, it's fine. This isn't gonna happen to me, and like I'll be okay.
I guess.
Especially since he was like a big tough guy. You know, he probably expected to like come out alive.
I guess so. I'd just be really scared, like,
And to
you know.
be able to like beat people up or whatever because he
I
was an
guess.
ex-cop. So
yeah, I don't know. It's
or
just for
past
me.
cop? I don't know.
Yeah. No, I guess. Yeah, you're right. But all right, let's go.
obviously with me though, I mean, me going in there by myself, I'd be dead in 5 seconds. But
Yeah.
You know.
But, yeah.
Or group of people or even an animal, and that whoever his attacker was or whatever his attacker was had clearly snuck up on him given the location of his injury. Now that the police had a body and it likely looked like it was a
Yes, it
murder,
wasn't him, it was a
they
body.
could no
Oh my
longer
God.
ignore the fact that so many people had gone missing inside of this park, and it was looking like probably if they looked around the park, they might find more bodies. So the local police called in reinforcements from Russia's Criminal Investigation Department, and they came to the southern Moscow suburbs, and with the local police, they began searching every inch of this park, looking for more bodies, or just for any indication of who or what was behind this attack and behind all these missing people. But after several days of a very extensive search, where they looked everywhere in this park, all over the forested area. They found nothing. At the same time, this huge police search.
Wait, I do have a comment. I was just gonna say, like, it sucks that it took, like, for a body to be found, for the cops to actually be like, oh, we need to take this seriously and actually do something. Like, it had to take a
that's
body
pretty
to be found.
dumb. Yeah, I just think maybe because they didn't have any proof or bodies that and they just vanished. They didn't really think about like, it's.
Did they think these
I
people were
don't
just
know.
like running away or something?
I guess so. Maybe they thought maybe like these people needed an escape so badly that maybe they just vanished for. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It could be anything. I guess. They
I mean,
just
I'm
didn't
wondering
care.
if maybe there was just a lot of other stuff going on, like a lot of other crime in the area because it was a poor area, and so maybe they were focused on other stuff that was happening, like
Yes,
people
but still,
being robbed or like
yeah,
people
but still bad that people are going missing, and you're just like,
and
it's
just
fine.
shrugging it off.
For
Yeah.
4 years too.
Especially
It's
since it
not
keeps
like
happening. Like it's not like
I
just
guess
one
so.
person goes missing within like several years. It's like 40 within 4, which is like
Yeah, pretty bad.
sheesh.
So I don't know. People are. Sure as well.
Was going down inside of Bitsevsky Park, news about Nikolai's death had spread amongst the southern Moscow suburbs, and people were now getting really scared. Before, the fear of the park felt kind of theoretical because there were no bodies. And so even though it seemed far-fetched, it did
Oh, right,
seem
like you said.
possible
Yeah.
that maybe all these people were getting lost on their own, that they really were just
Okay.
drunks stumbling off. But now, with the discovery that one of these missing people
just,
had
like,
been
starving to death or
horrifically
something?
killed,
Guess
that
so.
made the danger associated with this park feel very real. And so it was around this time that most residents of these suburbs stopped going inside of this park in
Finally.
fear of whatever was out there in the forest. And they would forbid their children from going in, and they would tell their neighbors, don't go in the park. And they gave this evil thing that
So
lurked
sad.
in the forest
The
that
park
caused
that you go
men
to.
to disappear
Yeah,
and attacked
so-
Nikolai. They gave this thing a name. They called it the Bitsevsky Park Maniac. But despite the fear of this maniac causing so many people to avoid this park, and despite the massive police presence that was in the park, constantly looking for bodies, looking for clues, and just generally patrolling the area,
How do they know
despite
it's a
all
person?
that, people still
I don't know.
continued to go missing in this park.
See? People
Starting
still
just
what?
a week
know.
after the discovery of Nikolai's body in November of 2005, all the way up to April of 2006, 9 more men would mysteriously vanish in the forested section of Bitsevsky Park. And
what?
just like Nikolai, just a couple of days after they were reported missing by their families, they would be found lying out in the middle of the park with the backs of their heads caved in.
Okay,
But
well-
unlike Nikolai, most
Guess-
Wait, is that like the signature of whoever it is?
I mean, I guess so. I mean, unless I don't know what MrBallen's gonna say next, but I guess if that's the case,
I guess it would have to be a person. I don't think it would make sense for it to be an animal, would it?
no,
Because it's very
like,
very precise and specific to
well,
be an animal.
yeah. Also, it says Russia's most feared criminal, so I'm assuming.
Well, yeah,
It's
yeah.
well, who knows, but I'm saying yeah, but okay. Well,
But usually like with stuff like this, don't they assume that it could be an animal and then they start to like narrow it down to people?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It depends on
I don't
the
know.
autopsy or
Yeah,
their
I guess.
So
of these 9 victims had been found with a glass bottle jammed into the hole in the back of their head,
What?
meaning almost
Okay, so
certainly
it's-
this was the work of a human,
Yeah,
not some
okay,
animal.
right.
Yeah,
By this
that's what I'm
point,
saying.
almost no one was stepping foot inside of the park because it was basically common knowledge that, a serial killer is obviously on the loose in the forest. But despite this, there were still some very stubborn
sign the
people
bottle
who
with his signature?
continued to go inside of the park. And one of those people was 32-year-old Alexander Pachushkin. He had been born in the southern Moscow suburbs, and he still lived with his family in the same tiny apartment he had grown up in. It's safe to say Alexander's life had been more difficult than his peers. When he was just 4 years old, he fell backwards off of a swing, and when he sat up, he was okay, but the swing came swinging back and smashed him in the front of the head, causing brain damage.
That
Now, his
sucks.
family did not have the money to send him to a hospital,
that's
and so
really
when he
sucks.
stood up after getting struck and
So
he was
young,
kind of
too.
able to walk around and he
Wow.
seemed okay, they determined he was fine and they didn't follow up. But Alexander was not fine. The injury had impaired his cognitive abilities, and years later, when he went to school, the other kids would bully him for sounding dumb. By the time Alexander was in high school, he felt like an outcast. He didn't have any friends, and he was miserable. But his grandfather, who lived in the same apartment complex as he did, he noticed this about Alexander, and he decided he would take him under his wing and he would look after him. And so the first thing he did is he asked Alexander to come over, and he taught him how to play chess, believing that would be something they could bond over. And when he taught Alexander the rules of this game, which are quite complicated, it was like it opened up this secret portion of Alexander's brain that had never been opened before. Alexander immediately absorbed all this information about chess and became a master of it practically overnight. Within a couple of days of being taught how to play, he was beating his grandfather virtually every time they played together. And so his grandfather was totally thrilled about this and was very proud of Alexander. And so he decided to bring Alexander down to Bitsevsky Park, where all these old men who were total chess masters were always playing chess on all of the park benches and tables. And so he brought Alexander down there, and he put him up against all of these incredible players. And very quickly, Alexander was wiping the floor with them. And they loved him for it. He was their star. He was their prodigy. They totally adored him, and they respected him. And when they found out he was getting bullied at school, they made a point of telling him that he would always have a place with them in this park. And so for Alexander, this was like the best moment of his life. He finally felt like he was accepted, and he finally felt happy. And so over the years, even after Alexander's grandfather passed away.
Sorry, that just feels like it should be the end of the story. Like the end.
Oh,
He's
I
happy.
know.
Acceptance.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I wonder if I kind of forgot his name just now. Sorry, the guy, the boy. I don't know. What did MrBallen say?
It
he
sounds
was?
like his origin story.
Okay,
To like his him being a villain.
but he's not the criminal, is he? Or MrBallen just hasn't revealed anything yet. Because I'm trying to, because he MrBallen just brought him up, so I'm trying to see if he's trying to say that this is his origin story of like, I don't know. We'll see. That's what I'm saying. These are always unexpected, so I don't know.
man.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. But,
You got it?
yeah, oh yeah. You can click the space bar.
Oh, yeah. That's
Hey, Alexander continued to go down to Bitsevsky Park to play chess virtually every day. And he kept going to the park to play chess, even when men began going missing in the park, including some of the men he played chess with. And Alexander continued going to the park to play chess, even after bodies began piling up in the park. Alexander's mother was terrified for him and felt like he...
Wait, so I'm having an imagery of him just like walking over a dead body, just casually going to play chess, and then, being like, oh, hey, oh, you're still here, I'm surprised, I thought you...
Okay, I don't think it's legitimately like that
It's
literal.
like kicking around dead bodies
yeah,
and then going to sit down to play chess with like the last person left to play chess
I'm
with.
pretty sure these were always just like when he heard about him, he was just like, oh, he's just dead
It's like
bodies.
the beginning of a zombie apocalypse movie.
Yeah,
or
I guess
something.
so. I guess I'm really curious to see. Like, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, but
That's just awful.
he didn't
though.
understand the
really
risk
awful.
he was putting himself in by going to this park all the time. But every time she pleaded with him not to go, just take one day off from playing
One day
chess,
off.
Alexander would say, Mom, I'm going to be fine. And then he would leave anyways. In April of 2006, Alexander
one day
was
off.
32 years old and worked for a local grocery store stocking shelves. By this point, at least 50 people had vanished
Again.
mysteriously in the forested section of the park, and 10 bodies had been found. On the morning of the 12th of that month, Alexander showed up to the grocery store for his shift, and right away he noticed there was a new employee. It was this beautiful older woman he had never seen before, and Alexander, while he was confident playing chess, was not remotely confident around women. He had never had a girlfriend before. But he found himself looking at this woman across the store, feeling like she was different, that she was more approachable than other women. And so he told himself that day he was going to go up to her and he was going to say hi. And so all through his shift, he kind of awkwardly watched this woman from a distance, kind of building up his confidence. And then at the end of his shift, her shift was also ending, the pair walked outside at the same time, and Alexander was about to say something, but he just couldn't find his voice. And then he noticed this woman had put a cigarette in her mouth, but she was fishing around for her lighter, like she couldn't find it. And so Alexander jumped into action and pulled his own lighter out, and he held it out to her and said, hey, can I light your cigarette? And so before long, the two were chatting, and they were walking together and smoking their cigarettes. And over the course of their conversation, Alexander would learn this woman was named Larissa Koligina, and she was 48 years old, and she lived near Alexander's Alexander's apartment. And so after they walked for a little while, they arrived in front of her apartment building. And at this point, Alexander knows she's about to go inside. And so he suddenly feels bold and he asks Larissa, hey, do you want to continue walking around with me for a bit and maybe do a pass through the park? Now, at this point, the Bitsevsky Park was totally not a place you would bring people to. This is a place that everyone in the area is basically terrified of. But for Alexander, Bitsevsky Park was like his happy place. And so naturally, if he's going to take a woman on a date, that's where he's going to
So
bring
ironic.
her. And surprisingly,
Very.
Larissa was very quick to say, oh, let's go to the park.
Nope.
And so the two, they lit up another cigarette and they walked across the
crazy.
road and they
Perfect for
walked
each
through
other.
the front gates of the park. Their first stop was the chess tables along the periphery of the park, right outside of the forest. And the tables were totally empty. But at this point, that wasn't surprising given the fact that even amongst diehard chess players, really Alexander was the only one still willing to go back in there every single day. And so
Wait, so why didn't they just find a new meeting place to play chess that was safer?
I don't know. Maybe
Like, why'd they keep going to that one location if they kept...
I just think maybe because that, like you said, it is their one place of escape, but also just the fact that, like, sure, they could go somewhere else, but I think it's just because that park is their maybe
Happy
I don't know.
place
Yeah, I
in
don't
his-
know.
in
Maybe
his
something to do with the
words.
park and the environment and the memories. I don't know, just something like with chess. I don't know, but yeah, that is weird though. I'd be like, yeah, I know this is a great place, but I value my life way more than that.
And then, like, it was...
So
Like, I'm questioning the female here because, like, I'm just trying to think if I were in her place and then this guy started talking to me and then there was this, like, creepy park that I knew not to go to. And he was like, hey, you want to walk around this park with me? And, like, first off, like, I just met you. Secondly, people are dying here. Like, why would you agree to...
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It is a little bit like, okay, yeah.
Like, I feel
how
like
about
that's
no?
some red flags right there. I
Yeah,
mean, even if
no.
he's a genuinely good guy,
I
you just
know.
met him and he's taking you to a murder park.
Oh hell
like,
no, yeah. I'm like, I'm good.
I'd be
thanks.
like, maybe we could just walk around this, like, newer houses or something
yeah,
instead.
or just not walk in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Well, I don't think
I don't know.
this is in the middle of the night. Is
Well, I have no idea. I don't know. Maybe it could be or couldn't be, but anyways.
after seeing where Alexander spent all of his time, it seemed like it was time to turn around and leave. But neither Alexander nor Larissa wanted their date to end, and so they decided to light up another cigarette and then follow a walking path that kind of looped into the forest and came back out again.
But
And as they
why?
entered the woods and got deeper and
Y'all are
deeper
so,
into the
like,
forest,
are you that
the
desperate?
chess tables
I
that
mean-
were behind them faded from view, and the sky began to get darker and darker as it was getting late.
See, it
But
is
the
getting
pair
darker,
just
though,
kept
so-
on walking, maintaining their cheerful conversation. But at some point, as they talked and walked, the path below their feet stopped looking like the path they had originally set out on. Now they're stepping over broken logs and they're ducking under low-hanging branches.
See, that's
stepping on some dead skulls or dead skulls are dead. You know what I mean? Stepping on some dead bodies.
no, but that's what I was saying. Like
Like
even
this terrain is kind of bumpy. What am I walking on today? Looks down.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Like you clearly see the path is ended, so you're like, why are you still being like, oh, I'm just gonna like duck. I'm just saying, like, I get you.
Oh,
like,
they're going
nature.
off the trail? I thought the trail was just covered in some stuff.
Well, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It could have like ended. It could have been like the trail's
Okay,
covered.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So, but like regardless, I'd be like, if there's no trail I can see, I'm like, yeah, I'm going. I'm leaving because I'm not gonna risk that. I don't know. That just seems sketchy. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like, it's one thing to stand outside of the woods, but then they're actually going deep into
Yeah.
it.
See, that's
I'm
just a
just
little.
like,
That's sketchy. That's yeah.
I
I
feel
wouldn't
like you're
trust that.
sort of asking for something.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
kidding. I don't want to blame any victims. I'm not trying to do that.
Yeah.
But
I'm just saying, if it were me, that I would be like, yeah, something's up. I'm gonna.
Yeah, no,
go.
don't go in the woods.
Yeah. So just saying.
And it's not really clear if they're on a marked trail anymore.
Oh, okay,
But
see.
neither of them bring it up. They just maintain their kind of light
Okay, people are so
conversation and
nonchalant. Oh
continue
my God.
walking as if nothing's going
Too
on.
nonchalant.
However, they both
You know, I bet they just want to hold on to that optimism because, like, life is tough for them, I'm sure. So they want to be able to hold on to that optimism and, like, stay happy regardless of, like, the outside circumstances.
I guess, but if you're getting killed,
But I feel
and-
like in this case, it's almost like delusional. Like,
Yeah,
it's
a little
delusional
bit.
optimism. Like, they're like, oh, nothing's happening. Nothing's wrong.
I'm just saying, are they
We're
like,
fine.
or they just like accept their fate? They're like, oh, people are getting killed. Oh, if we get killed or whatever.
So
That's fine.
is this a suicide pact?
Yeah, that's like a whole other conversation.
Wait,
about
can I
that.
say that on YouTube?
No, I mean, yeah, you can bring it up. I was just saying, like, I don't.
Okay.
I mean,
didn't
I
know
don't.
if I could say that
Yeah,
one.
there, I mean, there's not much we can, because like we can't really say this is a suicide force.
No, I know. I'm just
Yeah.
saying I feel like they're being blindly optimistic at this
Yeah,
point.
yeah, a little bit, but we'll see.
definitely began walking faster and faster to maybe speed up this loop. But at some point, when it was very obvious they were no longer on a path, they both came to a stop. As they had walked, Alexander had been in front, and so when they came to a stop, he turned around and he looked at Larissa, and
Another
right
ad.
away he could
Hate these stupid ads.
This is it. Our own studio background.
Hollywood, here we go. Something's wrong.
I don't know why there's ads on
You alright?
my account though.
No.
It's kind of weird. I do, and that's weird. Maybe it's just because of the OBS thing. I don't know.
Maybe.
I have no idea.
If you shop on Amazon, you
know
should
the
use
ads,
this
I get
tool.
it.
It's a browser extension
Oh, cool.
that automatically compares
I mean, I
Amazon
could,
to other
but
sellers.
we'll see.
To
Okay.
You could tell there was just something wrong about her. There was a
Wait,
look
what?
on her face that just didn't look right. She looked exhausted or sad or something. And then as he's looking at her, she inexplicably kind of collapses into a tree right next to her, and she grabs the tree with her arms and she slides down to its base, and she presses her cheek and her chest up against its bark, and she begins to cry. Alexander has no idea what's going on, so he just stands there staring at her. And in between sobs, Larissa looks up at Alexander and says, "You're the maniac, aren't you?" Alexander couldn't believe it. She was the first person to figure it out so
Wait, what?
quickly.
Um,
Normally,
so-
he would have to tell his victims before he killed them. And
Okay, but like, so I did expect that he was, because
I
Mr.
mean,
Ballen
I
went into his
guess.
storyline. Like, why would he just throw
guess.
some guy's storyline in there?
Well, I think he's
Without-
I think Mr. Ballen, I'm not going to try to bring this up, but I'm saying like in the past, I feel like maybe a couple of stories I remember correctly have been like a twist, like you think someone's the.
Oh.
I'm just saying, I'm not saying all
Well,
the
yeah,
time.
but if he brought this
but-
guy's whole like life story into
No, I-
this and like
No,
just
that's-
telling about his
yeah,
perspective, I
yeah.
think he's important.
No, I know, yeah. That's what I was saying. Like it probably, yeah.
I mean, I guess he could have been the guy who like stopped the killer.
I guess so. Well, we'll see.
It's a
We'll
little
see.
less
But yeah.
likely,
But
but-
anyways, for now we know he's the killer. Apparently, that's pretty creepy though. He just.
How did she know though?
I don't know.
Okay,
Something.
I guess keep going.
Yeah.
And so he smirked and he looked at her and he said, "Yes, I am." And so Larissa, at this point, she lets out this huge sob and she looks down and she keeps crying. And then she looks back up again at him and she says, "Are you going to kill me?" And without any hesitation, Alexander looks at her and he says, "Yes, I am."
Jesus, that would
And then he reached into his
scare
jacket
me.
and he pulled out a hammer. No one knows for sure why Alexander became a serial killer or why he almost exclusively targeted men. Many people believe it might have
I
something
mean, honestly, that makes a lot of sense that he's the killer, because he was so nonchalant about just hanging out in that park.
No, I know
Because
that.
to him, he's got nothing to worry about.
No, yeah. That's what I'm saying. That makes sense. But I don't. I thought.
So wait, so he was killing off the guys he played chess with, and then realizing, oh, now I don't have anyone to play chess with anymore because I'm killing them?
I don't know. I don't think it mattered. I don't really
No.
think it mattered who played
No,
with
probably
him,
not.
but
Probably it
yeah.
probably wasn't even in his mind.
Yeah.
I just overthink. It's
That's
whatever.
just-
something
I
to
just
do
thought
with the
it-
brain damage he suffered as a 4-year-old when that swing hit him in the
yeah,
head.
potentially.
That somehow that rewired his brain,
It could.
made him more aggressive towards other people, especially men. But that's just speculation. And other than that injury, there really isn't much in Alexander's life that stands out as a big
Wait, but he looks like such a skinny dude. How did he take on that big, like, muscular guy?
I mean, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It might not just be an attack. It could you can be really fit and big and everything, but you can be unsuspecting and then
Oh, so he
People
just like
can
sneak
manipulate
attack
you.
kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, 'cause
he
even-
was probably hiding out and then came behind and went like, "Mm."
yeah, because people can like be really tough, but then they can like
Yeah, yeah,
easily
yeah.
yeah. So that's what, yeah, but
Yeah,
see.
that's
Hmm.
so interesting.
that's scary though. That is.
big red flag. He just kind of floated about his life and followed the crowd. But in 1992, when he was 18 years old, he got this urge to kill and he actually decided to act on it. He brought up this desire to a classmate of his named Mikhail Odachuk, and surprisingly, Mikhail says to Alexander, "I want to kill someone too. Let's do it together." And so the two met up a couple of days later and they headed off to Bitsevsky
so
Park
weird.
and began walking around the forest looking for a lone person that could be their victim. And as they're walking along, Alexander, he's fully committed, but he can tell Mikhail is not. He's starting to get cold feet and he's talking about, maybe let's stop for now and head back and maybe do this another time. And Alexander, he's getting more and more angry and frustrated with Mikhail until finally Alexander decides, my first victim will be Mikhail. And so he turns to Mikhail and he says, you know what? If you want to head back, you can. And Mikhail says, okay, maybe we can do this another time, right? And Alexander says, sure. And so Mikhail turns around, and as soon as his back is to Alexander,
I can totally, like, visualize this. I can imagine him being like, we're gonna do this another time, right? And he's kind of, like, anxious and nervous, and then the guy's looking at him like, sure, with, like, a very, like, blank, just, like, dark face, like...
Yeah.
Like, no expression, just like...
Of course, yeah.
Sure.
No, I know, yeah.
Like this, just, like, dead eyes.
No, I know, that's
I can
scary.
totally picture this.
That's so
This is
scary.
pretty creepy, honestly.
Yeah.
Alexander pulls out his hammer and he smashes Mikhail in the back of the skull, causing Mikhail to crumple to the ground, either dead or unconscious. But either way, he's laying on the ground. And as soon as he is, Alexander remembers that they had passed a little while earlier this well kind of hidden in the middle of the forest. And so he grabbed Mikhail's body and he dragged him through the forest over to this well. And when he got to the well, he pulled the lid off of it, and then he picked Mikhail's body up, pushed him up and over the edge, and dropped him inside. And Mikhail fell 30 feet all the way down to the icy water
But
below.
all the bodies.
And then Alexander put the lid back on the well, he grabbed his
like
hammer
well
off the
known,
ground,
I think.
and he left. An important part of Alexander's killing was this well. This well was not a drinking water well. It was basically an access point to this deep underground sewer system that stretched all around the underside of this park. And so when Mikhail fell down this 30-foot shaft, he didn't just land at a pit of water right at the bottom of the well. Instead, he fell all the way down the shaft until it opened up like the bottom of a huge scientific beaker. It was basically like this big cave at the bottom of the well that was full of very deep water. And so Mikhail would have splashed into that water, which was icy cold, and then after Alexander put the lid on top of the well, it would have been pitch black inside of that space. Now, even if it had been lit up, there was no ladder for Mikhail to climb back out of, and there was a current running through this well because there were tunnels leading into it and then out the other side. And so Mikhail, if he woke up, if he was conscious...
Wait, where did the tunnels lead to, though?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I mean, is that... I don't really think it matters, to be honest, because
I don't know.
I
I want to know if there's, like, another way out, but probably not.
I mean, yeah, maybe. That's what I'm saying. But also, like, they're all dead. Like, their heads have been hammered, and I feel like they wouldn't even be able
Well,
to
no,
do
no.
that. Anyways.
Obviously, I mean,
yeah.
I would...
No, but yeah, that's...
when he hit the water, he would have immediately been swept into another tunnel, and many of the other tunnels that led away from this cave space were completely filled with water. And so he would have had nowhere to breathe. He would have been sucked into a tunnel and he would have drowned. And so whether Mikhail died from the strike on the back of the head or whether he drowned, we don't know. But he died after being thrown in the well, and then his body was swept miles and miles away to some deep underwater recess where nobody was looking. Alexander would wait another 9 years before he killed again. But once he started up again, he didn't stop. His first kill after the hiatus was in the summer of 2001. His victim was a man he liked to play chess with. In fact, this was a man that loved Alexander and was definitely one of Alexander's friends. They regularly played chess with each other. And one day in May, after a game of chess, Alexander asked the man if he wanted to head into the forest to pay respects to his dog, who he had buried out in this forest. And he told the man he was going to have a sip of vodka over his...
Wait. Don't tell me he killed his dog.
No, I don't, I mean, I don't really know. I'm saying, like, but no, I'm still, like, even though, like, I love dogs, but also, like, pay respects to your dog, but no, I'm not going in the forest with you. I don't know you. I'm just saying, like, it's
Also,
just kind of weird.
Like, I know they know each other, but why would he... okay, like, say that he wasn't the killer, like, why would he put his dog in a place where people are getting...
I don't know.
Killed?
I don't know.
And
No,
then
no,
like,
that's...
I want to go back in there to pay...
Well, also... He could just be making that up too. To be
No,
too
I
rude
know
on him.
I know it's made up. I'm saying theoretically, like, why would you believe this story?
Oh, I don't. People,
'Cause-
you know what? People, when you're friends with someone, you trust someone, you're gonna believe anything they say. Usually.
I mean,
That's why you gotta-
yeah, true. It's
I
sad
don't
truth.
know.
Sad truth.
his dog's grave. And so this chess friend of his agrees to go with Alexander because he loves Alexander. He's a good friend of his and says, absolutely, let's go pay our respects to your dog. And so the pair begin walking into the forest, and at first they're on a trail, but eventually Alexander says to this man that you need to leave the trail in order to get to the
That's just
gravesite.
sus.
So the man says, yeah, no problem.
Sorry to
And so
say.
they get off the trail and they're walking for a little while until they reach the well. And when they get to the well, Alexander stops and he kind of points to some arbitrary spot on the ground and says, oh, that's where my dog was buried. And so Alexander pulls out a bottle of vodka and he takes a swig and then he hands it to the man, who does the same thing to kind of do this commemorative drink for this dog. And then afterwards, Alexander looks at his friend and kind of gestures with his arm to get the man to, take them back out of the forest, back out to the chess tables. And so the man turns around and begins backtracking. And as soon as he does, and his back is to
See, you
Alexander,
just can't turn your
Alexander
back.
pulls out his hammer, he
Can't
walks
turn
up
your back.
behind his friend, and he smashes him over the back of the head. And then just like Mikhail, he drags this man's body over to the edge of the well, he pulls the lid of the well off, and then he lifts this man up, and he dumps him into the well.
Wait, I'm confused. I thought there was something about sticking the glass bottles in their heads.
Well, bless you.
Sorry.
No, well, I don't know. Maybe MrBallen might explain it, but if he doesn't, maybe I can just. The
Maybe
only
it
thing
was
I
just
think
a
of.
few bodies, but I thought it was like a signature.
I don't know. I don't know about signature, but maybe like something to do with. I don't know. Maybe he might explain it. If not, we can
Okay.
talk about it later.
I wonder if he uses like chess as like a metaphor for killing people almost. Like thinks about the game of chess to decide how he kills people. I don't know if that makes sense.
I mean, I guess, yeah, maybe. We'll have to see. Maybe.
Well shaft, and then he puts the lid back on top. Alexander continued to lure his victims out to that well, and all of his victims were people he knew. They were his chess friends. They were his neighbors in his apartment complex. They were anyone he had a personal relationship with. He would later say that that was his preferred victim. He liked to know the person he was killing. It made him feel like God. Amazingly, it would turn out not all of Alexander's victims who were chucked into that well actually died. Victims number 16 and 17, who were a pregnant woman and a 13-year-old
God.
boy respectively, after they had their
Wow.
heads smashed with a hammer and they got chucked into the well, their clothing got caught on a snag poking out of the inside of that 30-foot shaft, and it literally arrested their fall and kept them from plummeting all the way into the water. And somehow, in both instances, Alexander didn't notice. He just put the well lid back on and walked away, believing they were both dead. But they weren't, and after they regained consciousness, they were able to kind of claw their way back up the well shaft and pulled themselves out of the
Wow,
well.
good for
Both
them.
victims would go to the police,
Wow.
and both of them would positively identify who their attacker was, Alexander.
Okay, that went better than I thought, because I thought he was gonna say that they were like still alive and then like slowly just like drowned and like was in the darkness, just like
No, because like I feel like
they were suffering. Like I thought that they
No.
suffered a slow death because they
Yeah.
weren't dead yet,
yeah,
but they actually survived and got help and like got to.
yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, that's good for them. Good for them.
I mean, none of it's cool, but
No,
yeah, I
yeah.
get what you mean.
But the police didn't care. In fact, they told both of these victims
Wait, what?
that they needed to drop the charges and leave them alone. And if they didn't, they, the police, would come up with something to have both of them arrested,
What?
the victims. And so Alexander got
Wait, I was just saying story was getting
Yeah, no.
good with these people, like help getting whatever, and then the cops are dumb again.
Yeah,
away with
these
it,
cops are really
and
dumb.
the victims were literally intimidated by the police
Oh my
to
God.
stay quiet. And so
Wow.
that led to dozens
You
and
might as well
dozens
just-
more murders. In April of 2006,
Are the cops like on his side or something?
I don't think on his side, but
Or
probably
like
just
helping or
I don't know,
telling him to do this to
maybe-
these people?
No,
Or
maybe they just genuinely just don't care. I don't know. Maybe that's I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
maybe
It's a
some
weird-
motive or something.
after Alexander told Larissa he was the maniac and he was going to kill her, he walked behind her as she cried and continued to hold on to the tree, and he wound up his hammer and brought it smashing into the back of her head. And then as she slumped to the ground, he hit her several more times in the back of the head with the hammer, and then he pulled out a vodka bottle and he jammed it inside
Oh,
of the hole,
that's-
and then
okay.
he left.
Yeah.
2 months later, Alexander would lure another woman out into the middle of the forest with him. Her name was Marina. She was 35 years old, and she had met Alexander while working at the grocery store with him. She actually was hired to work at the grocery store to fill Larissa's now vacant spot. Before Alexander and Marina began their walk out to the park, which was Alexander's suggestion, Marina said she just needed to stop by her apartment to let her son know where she was going. And so they swung by her apartment. Marina went upstairs and she left a note for her teenage son saying where she was going and who she would be with. And she even left behind Alexander's name and his phone number on this note. And so
That
when
is
she came back
terrible.
out again and she and Alexander began walking towards the park, Alexander knew that if he killed her, which was his intention, that he would certainly be caught. The police were on super high alert at this point, and they would certainly get their hands on this note, and that would absolutely implicate him. And so he didn't really know what to do. But by the time they were strolling into the forest, Alexander had decided he was going to kill her anyways. And many people believe he did this specifically to get caught, not to protect the public from himself, but because he wanted fame. He wanted recognition for what he had done. This theory stems from the fact that starting with his 41st victim, Nikolai Zakharchenko, Alexander began leaving his victims' bodies out in the open. He stopped putting them into that well. And he wouldn't just leave them out in the open. He would prop them up in strange poses against trees, and he would jam glass bottles into the holes in the backs of their heads, indicating he wanted the police to find them. That way, he could get all the credit he believed he deserved. When the police did finally arrest Alexander, they searched his apartment and they found this notebook. And in this notebook was a picture of a chessboard. Now, a chessboard has 64 squares on it, and in Alexander's notebook, this chessboard had 62 of the 64 squares filled in. And Alexander would explain to police that that was his scorecard. He had 62 victims.
I told you he used chess as like a
No, I
way to map out
know.
his killings.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I was
I
thinking
got
that was
a
his
minute.
like mental, like thought process.
No, yeah, and
He like envisioned a chessboard when he was killing people.
yeah, and the reason I was like, oh, because I kind of got like
Chills?
Yeah, because because it's like whenever I get serial killers are like a not a common thing, but it's like something that's not foreign to us and we know about them. But it's like the fact that people
No, you still like it's still like a tough concept
Well-
to grasp that people would be just like mindlessly killing people without remorse.
Well, yeah, and also it just but also I got chills because some people when they use like a metaphor, like it's like, oh, I used like just now it's like, oh, a chessboard as basically the game as real life in a way. You're almost applying it to it's like it's a game, but you're using it in real life. I don't know why that kind of scares me. It's just like very like nonchalant, but it's like it's creepy.
Mhm.
You're just like, oh yeah, chess is my killing scorecard. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's pretty like, oh god.
Yeah.
That's just okay. But yeah, wow. Well, anyways,
Ugh.
yeah.
It would turn out 2 of those people had actually survived, the
Mhm.
pregnant woman and the 13-year-old boy, but still, there were 60 murders accounted for in this notebook. Alexander would be fully cooperative with police and would tell them every detail he could possibly remember about every single killing, including what conversations were like with the person he killed right before he
Well, that's
killed them.
terrifying.
He would also often reenact what he did to the person and how he felt afterwards. It was very clear that Alexander was reveling in the attention he was getting from law
He's just
enforcement,
reenacting.
and it was
Yeah,
very
I know,
clear
I know
that
it's not
he
real, it's
loved
just-
talking about killing.
It's just so like casual, and he's just like, yeah. So I just used this part of the handle, and I was just like I can just imagine him just sounding so casual about it, like he's talking about his grocery list and not like killing someone. Like
Yeah, I mean that's
Ultimately, the police were only able to gather enough evidence to charge Alexander with 49 murders, not 60. And when Alexander heard this, he was totally disappointed, and he asked the judge if he could get credit for
well, yeah,
That's
because he wanted
hilarious. Oh
credit
my
for all the
God.
bodies he killed.
no,
for
I
some
know,
reason.
but like
the other 11 murders to maintain his 60 victim mark. The judge said no. During his trial, Alexander was deemed to be such a threat, he was kept inside of a glass cage the entire time. And during the proceedings, he showed no remorse and, in fact, seemed kind of happy, like he was enjoying
That's
the
expected, I feel like,
spectacle
but-
of his trial. He was ultimately given the harshest penalty under Russian law at the time, which was life in prison without parole, and the first 15 years of his life sentence would be in complete and total solitary confinement.
Wow.
So
I
virtually.
mean, he deserves it because he put these people in this dark well. So
Oh yeah, so it's like a
he deserves to
reflection
know
on
what that's
himself. Yeah,
like.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty. Wow, that's crazy.
I kind of feel like, I feel like they almost should have done a death sentence.
Yeah, but I think that he just said that was the harshest sentence they could ever give.
Oh,
Or I mean,
yeah.
like at the time,
No,
at
I
least,
guess,
whenever.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's true,
so
that's true.
yeah.
Virtually no human interaction, kept inside of his cell 24 hours a day with nothing in
I
his cell
cannot
all day
imagine
long. Alexander is still alive today, and he is still in solitary confinement.
Yeah, because
So that's going to do it, guys.
15
If you
years,
got
but-
something out of today's episode.
Well then,
Okay.
thank you, MrBallen, for
I hate
another
when like
great.
MrBallen's videos, like at the end, he's like, and this person is still alive today, or this person has never been found, or this person's in prison right now. I'm just like you hear a story, but you don't want to have to apply to real life. But then you're like, wait, this is real. This is real life. So this
No,
person is still
yeah.
on this earth.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what? At least,
Like that's pretty scary.
yeah, at least he's in solitary confinement. He's.
Why'd you do quotes?
I don't know.
He is.
I
in
know. I
solitary.
mean, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, I hope he didn't like escape or something quick.
Well, remember we watched another MrBallen video that we didn't react to, but we watched it. It was about the most terrifying family ever, and they escaped. The
Oh,
two men.
shoot,
So that's
yeah.
what I'm saying. It's like I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know. Like that was a long time ago. I'm just saying like still though. It's just whenever that can happen. I don't know. But yeah, no, that was actually that was long, but that was really really good.
Did you find
that
the
was-
secret in the episode?
No. Did
Yeah,
you?
I never
never
find
do.
them. I've never found them once. I just like, I think it's my ADHD.
Well,
I
I
just
just-
pay attention to the.
Oh yeah, because I always like I'm so in
storyline.
immersed in the story, so I don't really think about it. But if you guys know it, comment down below, sure. But I really like that one because I was that's kind of relevant to.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's not about ours is more about the war stuff, but it's like he mentioned Russia, so that was pretty terrifying though. I just can't imagine that in real life. Like that's what I'm saying. It's crazy. Our world is so like. People can be so nonchalant about stuff and like so unremorseful about things, and it's just so second. I don't know.
And like we can
nature.
watch stuff like this, be a little scared for like maybe a half hour or so, and then walk away with our lives and forget about it. But this like actually happened.
Yeah.
Like these were people's lives.
Yeah, this actually is a real thing that happens, and yeah, crazy how insane our world is, and people are. People are. That's what I'm saying. Maybe it had to do with his Alexander's swing thing from when he was a kid, but that's really messed up though. But it's also like I'm not saying we can blame anyone, but that probably didn't help the
Yeah.
swing thing. So yeah, no.
And I feel like it's hard to determine whether or not someone should go to like prison or go to a psych ward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's like
is he insane? Because he is insane. But at the same time, he can speak in like coherent sentences and can like talk for himself.
Yeah.
So technically, he's not gonna like. Technically, they're not gonna call him insane.
Yeah, like
even
criminally
if he
insane,
technically is, he's not gonna be called that by the court
Yeah,
system. He's just
yeah.
gonna be put in like the regular prison system.
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
I don't know. I think he's insane, and yeah, he deserves all of that. So that's just crazy though. Like I know he's a criminal and he deserves that, but I can't imagine myself in solitary confinement for 15 years. I can barely stand a
Man.
day without like interaction or
Yeah,
just
no, I can't.
people.
I can barely get through a day of just sitting inside.
Yeah,
Like I have to go out and
exactly.
walk or something.
Yeah,
like
so see that would be. I'm just saying he deserves it, but it's like for just in
Mhm.
general, think about that. But yeah, anyways, I really like that, guys. What do you liked it? That was really you
Yeah.
liked it? Yeah.
He should have been called like something to do with like the chess killer or something.
Oh yeah, that actually would
The
be
chess
yeah, because they
board
called
killer,
him
I
yeah,
don't
because they
know.
called him like the park maniac.
Mhm.
But it's like not why are we coming up with serial killer names?
I don't know, I don't know,
sorry,
I don't know.
sorry, no. But I'm saying like yeah, that would have actually been really cool though, just because to make it more. Actually, one thing I wanted to bring up though, it was
Wait, what are
whenever
some things
he-
that people say when they're playing chess? I know nothing about chess.
I mean, I just know some names
Like, did
of
they
the
say
chess pieces.
like match or something? Or
No, like checkmate.
oh, checkmate.
But I don't.
So would that be his name? No, that.
I don't know. I would all I think about when I here chess
Is that what he
bishop.
said to himself when he was going on a scoreboard? He was like, or a scorecard? Was he like checkmate, like killed another person?
Oh, well, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. He had a scorecard for like the chess, but
Yeah.
I just think of bishop. I don't know why, but I don't.
Okay, is that
I,
the only thing you know?
No. There's a lot of chess pieces. I'm just saying like that's kind of resonates in my mind. But no, one thing I did want to bring up actually when MrBallen was talking about how he wanted all the fame and attention, it reminded me of the Scream killer Danny Rawling and the everybody knows serial killer Ted Bundy. So because those serial killers were so infamous, and I think maybe whether or not that stems from that or not, but people who want attention and fame, that's what I think of. So
We'll go to great lengths to do it.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, I missed the you only gave me like 49 count. You missed the 60 count mark for the like, okay, you're so weird.
That they say like on TikTok, like true crime videos where people like will go so far that they'll like kill their family for TikTok views or something.
Oh my god, that is so like that is crazy, and that's just pretty. That's really sad. That's like now that's what I'm saying. Crazy people crave attention so badly. It's just so sad. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you have any other MrBallen reaction requests for me to check out or any other scary videos, I do a lot of scary stuff now on my channel. Even though.
Also, you should. I'm curious if you guys want. You should comment what you think that people should do to the like button.
I guess so, yeah, sure. For MrBallen and everything, but yeah.
Yeah, for his video.
All right, well, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Yeah, and have a great day. Bye-bye.